Whoa! Hey there, welcome back to my podcast. This has been a while since I've done a solo episode, and we'll see how it goes. It's good to be back in my home studio, alone, talking to y'all into this big black microphone that's a little bit further away or farther away from my face, because that's the right word to use in this context, because further is when you're talking about something that's like metaphorical. Farther is a literal distance. Okay, great intro. So it's good to be back, and it's a little bit farther from my face because it picks up mouth sounds, and I got big fucking Italian lips that like to make very obnoxious sounds. Whenever I listen back to this thing, I go, ugh, who the hell wants to hear that? I get a little fucking lip smacking around. So anyway, also I got a drink of water. I got some soda water or seltzer. It's technically seltzer. It's sparkling water. That's what you say when you order. That's what it is. And I hate ordering sparkling water from a bar. It's like, yeah, they got to ring up. Just, hey, can I bother you to ring up me a sparkling water because I'm a douche who doesn't drink and isn't going to support the business because nobody makes a profit. No businesses stay afloat just by selling a bunch of seltzer water. Screw it. I'm just calling it seltzer water. I don't give a crap if it's actually different than soda or water, if it's technically the wrong term. Sparkling water just makes me feel like a fucking like a douche. Hey, can I get some sparkling water? I need something to drink. But and then these places that I go, I have no choice but to order either regular water or sparkling water, but I don't want just soda water. This is a completely new fucking problem. So if I ask for soda water, it'll come from a little spritzer that's built into their bar, and usually they might not even charge for it, depending on the swankiness of the bar or the douchiness of the bar. It goes two ways. Hey, it's not my fault I don't drink. So I just got to sit there like an asshole with a dry mouth the whole time I'm at this bar. I still go to bars because I'm a stand-up comedian. But not really. But sometimes I do that. The reason I go to bars is only to do like a comedy thing, an open mic or a show. So I go to the bars and I have a dry mouth. So what are my options? To either ask for soda water or see if they have like one of those tanks of water for people like me, so they don't gotta bother the bartender to say, hey, here's a little cup here. Get it yourself. This is a place for alcoholics. Look, we don't want to talk to you if you're not an alcoholic. You fucking broke, non-drinking, sober loser. Anyway, I'm not a loser. I am sober, but that doesn't mean I'm a loser. Anyway, so I don't like soda water. I don't like the kind of soda water that just comes from the gun. It's not good. And then I got to add something to it. I got to walk around with stevia, and I'm in my fanny pack, which I don't do, but I'm going to start doing. Why don't I do that? I'm already walking around with a fanny pack. Why don't I put stuff I need in it? I already have like the essentials like ChapStick. I have ChapStick on me in my fanny pack and like little cards to write on if I think of something funny. So, write it down instead of using my phone to do that. And I got a lot of other stuff like my wallet, keys, because who wants to walk around with your wallet and keys in your pants if you got tight pants and then you just feel it hurts when you sit down. So anyway, I have a fanny pack. Somebody asked me if they could use my ChapStick. I was like, sorry, I don't know you very well. I'm not going to share my ChapStick with you. I didn't say that. I just said, I have herpes. So, and they're like, oh, I get it. Don't worry. I don't want your ChapStick if you have herpes. And they didn't realize I was just joking. So I was like, you actually think that's the reason? You actually think I have herpes? I was like, the kind of herpes that sure, I guess that is a valid reason to not accept ChapStick from somebody. But also this person, it's like a wake up call for them. It's like, hey, maybe don't ask strangers for ChapStick, because they might give you a herpes. So I was just giving them a little warning, like, hey, you never know, I might have herpes, which I don't. Simplex 1 is the kind that would transfer from ChapStick, even if that's possible. I don't know if that's, but I said I had Simplex 2, and they just, so they're dumb. They thought I was talking about my genital hurt. It's like, so this person, they need to go to a college course. They need to be educated better and not ask people for, anyway. I was like, sorry, I don't know. I was just kidding. I don't have herpes, but I just don't really want to share. I don't want to share my ChapStick with you. I don't fucking know you. That's what I said to them. Anyway, so I'm a nice person. But yeah, I'm gonna start walking around with stevia now, like in that movie, in like Breaking Bad. That woman towards the end, later seasons of the show, she's like, "You have stevia? Never mind, I brought my own." It's like, well, then why ask? If you have your own, why ask? I guess to save you from having to use your own. I get like it just makes you look like a pretentious, classist person to have to ask, and when you have it on you anyway. I don't really get it. But most places should have stevia. If it's just like some diner in the middle of nowhere, I get that they probably don't have stevia. But fucking everywhere else, if you have pretentious customers, you should have stevia. And why is that? I'm hearing a resonance coming from the vent, or that vent. There's a couple vents overhead, and I need to get more acoustic paneling. You can see that this wall behind me has no paneling on it, no acoustic treatment, and the front of the room does, but not all of it. The front of this room has huge bass traps, but I could get more. I could even get even more, and then there's two on the side walls that are perfectly in the same symmetrical. They're a mirror of each other, and they are 4 inches thick, but I got 7-inch thick bass traps in the front of the room. So anytime I add a new bass trap to the room, it gets 4 inches smaller by length or depth. And so there's going to be some behind me, probably by the next episode, and that's going to be 4 inches that I can't lean back. Anyway, so this room is not fully treated yet as a studio. It has a long way to go. And then I got to get them on the ceilings and on the doors. And like, I could spend like another $1,000 easily just on acoustic panels and bass traps, which are just thicker. And then diffusers. I'm going to have some behind me coming in the mail. They're being produced right now. Everything's made custom. They're going to have diffusers on them, so they're bass traps, but also with these wooden patterns in front of them, like meshes or whatever you want to call it, pieces of wood in intricate shapes in front of it. You'll see. It's going to be pretty. And I had to choose which design I wanted, and that took forever. I was like, fuck, what color? I just went with white and beige because I like neutral. So anyway, those will make the back wall look a little bit more interesting than just drywall, just like boring. But anyway, so that's the studio update. I still am building this podcast studio, and I don't have to be close up to the mic because if there's enough treatment in the room, it will absorb the reflections, and so you won't hear the room as much, and so I don't have to be right in front of the damn mic for it to still sound high quality. Oh, so that was boring. So that's the update on that. I don't have anything interesting to talk about on this entire episode, but I have, so I'll save you the rest of the episode now. You could just end it right here. So there you go. That was it. So like maybe it'll get more interesting as it goes on. I don't know. We're only about 9 minutes in, and I've already run out of idea. But actually, even before I did it, before I pressed the record button, I was like, I don't really have anything interesting to talk about. And that's how I am with stand-up. So we'll do a quick comedy update. I used to kind of think of myself as like primarily a stand-up comedian. Now, that sounds like the most pretentious thing to call myself now because I barely do stand-up. And when I do it, I don't even try to do jokes. It's terrible. You know, I did a show a couple weeks ago, or probably a month ago. Who knows? That was pretty good. But I had to like get into the character. I had to like tell myself, not full character, just like I had to like beat myself up and convince myself that I am capable of doing well at stand-up. That's why I was able to get into it. I was like, okay, you've done this before. You know how to do it. Why can't you just do it? So I figured out how to get into the right mindset to have fun and not just bomb and like be like, oh, fuck, I don't want to be here, but I was booked. I was dreading the show because I don't have an act. I have a few jokes, like Twitter-style jokes, like 1 to 2 line jokes that I came up with in this, like, okay, but I don't really get much out of doing them. After I think of them, I say, okay, that was funny. And then I post it on Twitter and it gets 0 likes or anything. It just sits there in nothing. I get no like positive feedback on it whatsoever, or negative, just zip. So that's not really paying much reward to just put it on Twitter. So then I started recording them as spoken word bits into my camera, into my phone, and then I would post those as like little shorts on YouTube and Instagram. And one of them did okay. One of them got a few thousand likes over the course of like over a month since I posted it. And I've tried to force myself to keep doing, like, okay, now that you know that works, keep doing it. Put out a joke every day in that style, nice and short and to the point. And I can't get myself to do that. I've done it like once or twice after that. And I was like, yeah, some of these are okay, but none of them were that good. And I just don't really get much enjoyment out of the process of writing jokes and then saying them into a camera alone at home or in front of people. So I am going through a slump of not getting any pleasure out of any of the steps in the process of stand-up comedy or joke telling. So that's why I haven't really cracked a single joke on this episode, and now I'm starting to lose the accent. Now I'm going into more of a monotone delivery, and that's fine. I don't really have to be the funny guy on this podcast. So anyway, stand-up has been going very bad. I don't get any pleasure out of if it goes well, sure, that gives me a nice high, but I don't really it's not enough for me to like pursue it. It just doesn't last. It lasts like one day and then it resets, and then the next day it's like, okay, I gotta go to a fucking open mic and hope I get a good spot. That like it takes hours. It's like the time part is not that bad. I usually have time for it, but it's just the stress levels go up when you have to sign up for an open mic knowing that there's going to be like 30 comics that skipped the line who just came, they just showed up like 5 minutes ago and they just want a good spot, so they just skip the line. And then I got to worry about looking like, I got to call, like I confront them like, yo man, I was here, but also I hate to be this guy, but also because it's just an open mic, but all at the same time, I don't want to fucking sit here for 2 hours. So, so I gotta take a lot of mushrooms to get in the right mood for open mics and for shows. Forget about shows. I like open mics. I like the low stakes of open mics, and I do get pleasure out of them to this day. I've done a few in the past few weeks, but most of them I just felt like, holy crap, I am not ready to. I'm not prepared. I'm not in the right mindset, and I just hate myself for being here But then it makes me go like, okay, do it again. I got to do it again to prove that was just practice and that I could get right back on the horse, and that, because it's not just to prove something to myself. It's to, I guess it is mostly to prove it to myself that I'm still funny or something like that. But who cares? And to get clips from it because I could film it and get a funny clip. But whatever. The problem is, even if I have that feeling of like motivation, there's this problem is that there's not enough mics that happen every day in this tiny little city of 1 million people, and I'm not good enough to just go to a show and try out material there because I don't have rigid material yet. So that's the problem. I'm in this in between. I'm not good enough for shows, and I'm not able to do open mics. So you have this fucking feeling of blue balls, and they just end up at the back of this comedy club or this patio of this comedy club. That, speaking of that, I hate when they have water out in like one of those, Gatorade. It is one of the fucking water dispensers, and then the water has this nasty like aftertaste of like, what the hell is in this water? So it's like, now I gotta go to the fucking bar and ask for real. Can I get water that hasn't been sitting in a dirty tank all day that doesn't have a, gross aftertaste? So then it makes me feel like I gotta go up to them and bother them. But actually, that's their job. So I'm being a pussy. That's just social anxiety. You know what? I guess the reason I don't like doing that is because I feel like I have this imposter syndrome of like, don't bother the bartender for water if you're not actually on the show. Like, because the only time I'm at a bar, like I said, is for comedy. I don't go to bars to hang out. So it would be to either perform comedy or watch other people do comedy. And if I'm just there to watch, I don't like bothering the bartender. So anyway, that's why I just have to sit there and just be like, fuck, and I'm stuck with this gross Gatorade. There's this fucking moldy ass water. I don't know if it's moldy or just old. They just need to clean the thing better. But it makes me so... If there's anything to be upset about, that's the only thing that has upset me that much in the past few weeks. So anyway, I was talking about stand-up. Yeah, I could get on shows if I just asked people, hey, can I do a 5-minute spot, like whatever. And people have offered me 5-minute spots, and I turned them down because I just knew I didn't have it in me. Didn't have it in me that fucking night. And then I watched somebody bomb, and it's like, oh, fuck, I could have done better than that at least, even just riff it. I could have just riffed. Like, oh, man, there's nothing that motivates me more than seeing somebody bomb. If I see somebody kill, it's like, okay, I got nothing to... I can't do that. I could do mediocre. And I'm only doing it for the ego rush of like, fuck yeah. I don't know. It's not just for the ego rush of like, fuck yeah, I'm better than that guy. No, it's just because it's fun and rewarding. It's the most rewarding thing you could do creatively is put out a good stand-up joke, set, whatever, or good music. If you put out a music video that fucking hits, that's probably the most pleasurable thing you could do as an artist. Just knowing that, like, getting that external fucking gratification, but also internal gratification because you're watching this thing back and you're a fan of yourself while also it resonates with other people. So they are fans of you. In addition, you gotta be a fan of yourself, motherfucker. All right, I don't know, I gotta curse. I'm just enthusiastic about this topic. Like, that's my problem, I think. The reason I can't produce stand-up or bits, or even just at home, like record funny little TikToks, is because I'm not currently a fan of myself. So how the hell do I grow out of that? How do I grow into that? Or I don't know. I just look at myself as this boring dude that, like, I just don't have the ignition, the fuel to get me to like sit down and make content, because I just don't really care for my end result personality. I don't really think I'm that good right now. And maybe that means I'm just growing. Maybe that just means I'm just not willing to do this same style, or I just don't. I think what it is I don't have the right fuel source, the motor. Because when I do go out, when I am around other comedians, let's relax. let's stop pretending. Let's like stop yelling for a second. Whenever I'm around comedians that are doing regular shows, like doing shows constantly, and I hang out with them afterwards, that energy rubs off on me. It's like, okay, I would like to feel the way they feel in terms of like productivity and like, okay, they're doing the art. Doesn't mean they're satisfied, but I would like to at least be in the game. I am on the sidelines, and that's by choice. I ain't complaining about somebody else not giving me opportunities. Like I said, I've been offered spots. It's just myself. I'm not a fan of myself. That's the crux of this episode. And that's why even on this podcast, I don't have the enthusiasm that I had a few months ago when I kind of got back into the swing of putting out content that I was proud of. You have to fucking be proud of it in the moment. You have to kind of, for lack of a better term, be a fan of yourself if you expect other people to. Because when I was doing shit that I was proud of and still am proud of, I was a fan of it at the time. So, I think I'm just going through a slump because of, it has to do with being off of cannabis. So this is a very serious topic and I don't know. So I've been off cannabis, marijuana, the weed, for about 2 months. It's just about going on 2 months now. And I'm pretty dead set on staying off it because I like the way that it elongates time when you're off it. When you're off it, you got to face the whole day and you feel every hour go by, every minute of every hour. Not really. We have other ways of getting through the day without feeling every excruciating second go by. It's called scrolling. It's called looking on your phone and opening the different apps and going, okay, is there something for me there? Is there going to be a rush? Is there going to be a dopamine leakage or supply? So it's not like, but compared to when I was on weed, that was just a complete, it made the day go by a lot faster, and then it made the weeks go by faster and the months go by faster. So you feel your life go by slower. And so that's the number one thing that I enjoy about being off cannabis is I feel I'm not wasting my life. But yet, I feel I am wasting my life. I'm not okay with the fact that I ain't doing creative shit all day. The fact that I'm not producing quality content that I'm proud of. Yet I have so much time and I have a studio space. I could be recording songs all day if I had the executive function and the belief that it's worth doing and the enjoyment to actually move my muscles. So there's this feeling of like anger at myself, this resentment at my inability to pursue these goals that I would love to be pursuing. So I have this deep emptiness that is not being filled. There's this unfulfillment. But the weed made me not really give a crap about that void. The weed plays tricks. It plays Jedi mind tricks. And because, you could always be a pessimist. The pessimist is always correct that it's probably not worth trying. Anything will always people will, even if you put out something good, even if you do reach your dreams, there's always a pessimist out there who's just, yeah, but that was yesterday. That'll fade. In the grand scheme of things, the universe will not even know. And, everything will just go into disorder. So that's what weed kind of does to me. It's like, yeah, why even try if in the end the universe is just going to go right back to disorder and not give a crap about the creativity that you put out as a human. And so, sure, you could say that's true, that the pessimist has the black-pilled nihilist, they're like, yeah, sure, it doesn't matter, whatever, man. We're all going to die. Yeah, you're right. That's what weed does to me. It makes me a nihilist. When it wears off, and when it comes on, it's like a burst of dopamine. And so that actually does help me get to my goals. So it has two effects. It has these two competing effects that are very powerful and addictive. Not the bad part. Even the bad part is addictive because there's some good to be said about the layering of the nihilistic effect that I talked about. That's the extreme end of it. But before you get to that complete nihilistic part of the day, on the way down, you'll be like, okay, I shouldn't have done this. I should have been nicer to this person. You have these moments of clarity. Because not all truths are negative. Some truths not all truths that are negative are to be thrown out. You could still listen to some of those thoughts that you have on the come down or the peak of weed, whenever the fuck they happen. You'll be like, okay, why do I have such a big ego? And then why did I behave this way? Because it was non-productive and it made me look bad and it alienated people and made them not like me. So maybe I shouldn't have done that. And that's the benefit of what I'm talking about. That's one of the benefits. You just have to take that. You don't need weed. You don't need a drug to tell you that. Yeah, I'm starting to get old enough where I don't need to take a drug to figure out what I did wrong the next day. And weed or alcohol is a given. That one, I'm starting to look back on as like, it was fun. It's fun to throw away that part of your brain that makes you Here's what alcohol does. It turns off the part of your brain that makes you want to be an adult. So if you have that turned off, you're going to have more fun because it's not going to be stopping you, reminding you that shit is real and matters. Like maybe don't say that. Maybe don't act this way. Maybe don't bump into this. Maybe have a little bit more. It's your prefrontal cortex that it kind of turns off. But the prefrontal cortex is not your enemy, alcoholics, if you're listening. And by alcoholic, I don't mean that as a judgmental term. I'm just using that as like catch-all for anybody who uses alcohol in a more than like, fuck it. Anybody who uses it regularly, I would say, is who I'm talking to. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying you shouldn't really think of your prefrontal cortex as your enemy because you can strengthen it to be your best friend too. It could be the same thing that encourages you to do the things that you would need alcohol to do, like write, like produce content. I used to need to be on a drug like alcohol just to do anything creative as well. That's what stand-up was. I used alcohol as a crutch for stand-up. And more than a crutch, I use it as a wheelchair. And without it, a year and a half later, I'm still learning how to enjoy myself. And I'm making progress. So I'm not saying I'm hopeless. I'm not saying that I haven't made progress is what I mean. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not hopeless. That's the fucking point of this podcast, is to figure out how to be the best version of myself before my time is up. Because time is ticking, and after a certain point, it'll be too late to do those things. And I'll be looking back and be even angrier than I am now as somebody getting old enough to have my voice sound the way it does. I'm an old timer. This camera can show you my true age. And I don't mean that in any spiritual way. I just mean it's a good camera. So you can see all the lines on my face. You could see that I'm actually exactly the age that it says on my ID. Whatever. Some people look way worse than me. So I do look pretty good for my age. But that doesn't mean I ain't still the age I am, man. So I have like a voice that is like a little bit more degraded. It's a little more degraded. I sound older than I did when I was in my 20s or teens. I don't feel like a teenager anymore, man. Thank God. Thank God I don't walk around with the feeling of like futility that a teenager did, that I did when I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, I was like, yep, I don't have those things yet. I don't have a house or my own means of, car, finances. I was like, there are some things that I don't have yet. Now I'm an adult and I feel like an adult. If somebody treats me like a kid, I don't like that, because it's like, yeah, I'm not a kid anymore. Even if it's just like a subtle thing, like whatever, man. I know my spiritual age, and it's pretty old. Spiritually, I am old as shit. That's why I don't go to movies anymore. None of the movies do nothing for me. I just don't have the patience. Even if it's like a really good Leonardo DiCaprio movie, I'll probably watch it. It's like three years later or some shit. I don't care. Okay, let's relax. How long have we been doing this? 30. Okay, time is starting to creep to a halt for me. I'm starting the air is starting to leave the room. I'm gonna take a drink of water. Okay, so what I said about how you got to be a fan of yourself. If you're doing something creative and expect other people to be your fans, you have to be your first fan. Maybe not your number one fan. That part I don't know. But you have to at least be the first one to have discovered your own talent. If you're only doing it for the external reward, you're probably not going to get the external reward, because you're chasing only the end result. And it's like you need to be producing something you need to be inputting your talent if you want to get output from the world. What goes in is what comes, garbage in, garbage out. So if you're putting in crappy content that you don't even believe is good as you're making it, it's probably going to be looked at as garbage by most people. There might be an audience for it. Like if you're like a formulaic TikTok style persona, somebody that just makes TikToks that have a proven formula, like it's you in a green screen, just reacting to other viral content, and you're just adding barely anything to it. You're literally just riding somebody else's trend and expanding, like literally that's nothing. You're not adding any value or creativity other than your smiling face. That's going to feel not that redeeming. You still might do it because it gets you the external numbers that you want. And by numbers, that could just mean for fun, for the number of followers and likes, because it gives you that good feeling. Addictive. It's just addictive. And you could be making money from it. So maybe that's what I mean by numbers. I mean money or number of followers, analytics like that, or number of likes that you get when you open your phone. When you unlock your phone, does it give you those boosts, those very short-term dopamine hits? If that's why you're doing it, that isn't really the thing that I want to be doing. Like I realize I've done that before. I know what it feels like to put out a video that gets 250,000 hits on TikTok, and you just keep getting a flood of like every time you open your phone or open the app, you'll see so many new notifications like, fuck yeah, I want more. But meanwhile, the content that got you that wasn't me. It was just another viral video that was already going viral that I posted early enough to ride the balloon a little bit. It's like, hey, jump on the airship. It's taking off. It's leaving shore, leaving dock. Jump on the hot air balloon. As somebody that's just hanging from it. You're not even the one, you didn't put out the thing, you're not the author. You're just riding somebody else's coattails. So I stopped doing that. That's not what I want to do on these platforms. My niche is me. That's what I want to sell. And if I don't even like myself, fucking obviously, it's going to be, people are going to be like, whoa. And it's going to be looked at as bad content. It's going to be like, oh, this guy sucks. It could be funny to hate yourself, I think, in some ways. Even if you don't like what you're doing, other people could be like, no, that's pretty good. But I would stop doing that if I really hated it. I am getting some enjoyment out of this. It's just that I'm going through this thing where I need to learn how to get natural pleasure out of it. So anyway, that's what I'm learning, and it's tough. There's no way around it. It's going to take, and Andrew Huberman says that your dopamine levels, your baseline, that's what I'm getting at. My baseline dopamine levels, if you want to get scientifical about it, is way lower than it used to be. Because even if you're not smoking weed, like that particular day, you might have not smoked that day, but your baseline dopamine level is still higher than it is when you're off it for a month, because it was high yesterday. And that's what Huberman said, that fucking genius. He's like, your baseline dopamine levels stay the same day to day usually, based on how it was just yesterday. So if it was high yesterday, it'll still be pretty good the next day, even if you don't do anything significant. So that's my thing, is I'm trying to slowly raise that baseline dopamine level to where I could be creative and I could enjoy. That's it. It just comes down to enjoyment. Like, I have these intellectualized items in my head. Like, I know I'm good at this, or not this. I don't know if I'm good at this. Sometimes I'm good at this. Sure, whatever. I know I'm good at certain things that I want to pursue, like stand-up and other art forms, like just funny videos, shit like that. I know that I am good at it, meaning I have been in the past. Because if you ain't doing good at it now, I'm not good. I can't say I'm good at comedy now, because if I was given the opportunity to go on stage, I would bomb. So I can't really say, hey man, I'm fucking good at this. I'm better than you. Oh, just because I bombed? That's because my baseline dopamine level. You can't really say that. People won't really be like, oh, well, now I get why you bombed. It's because your baseline dopamine levels are too low. My bad. Well, sorry that I said that you weren't funny tonight. Now I know that you're actually the next Robin Williams. Now I know. All you had to say was that in the past you usually do well. Oh, my bad. Yeah, so I can't go around talking about... So I can't go on stage right now. And I hate that I can't, but also when I get it back, when I do raise my baseline dope, Jesus Christ, I hate saying that. Can we just reduce that down to like BDL, my BDL. God damn it, I hate saying long. Okay, kids, when I raise my BPLs, it'll make me feel so much better knowing that I won't take it for granted. When I finally do get back to where I want to be, it'll be more natural, first of all, because I'm not going to be using these cheat codes to get there. You have to use your prefrontal cortex to get you there. And then it's more permanent. It's not chemical-based. It's not from an exochemical. It's from an internal chemical. I don't know the word for it, like endocannabinoids. Yeah. If it comes from within, it'll be way more long-lasting and real. So when I finally do figure it out or just work at it, I don't think there's anything to figure out. I think I already have figured it out. I just need to keep doing the hard work to get my prefrontal cortex. Who cares if that's even you don't have to use the part of my, like I guess I do want to use the right word for it because that's how I learned about this. I don't know. That's just what I call it. Maybe it'll be proven that that's not actually what it is, but whatever. I'm just saying in a long-winded way for comedy specifically, because that's the number one thing that I like doing. That's the most rewarding thing is stand-up comedy. So when I get my swagger back and when I'm actually able to speak without like having to correct myself every 2 seconds, is that the right word? Like I keep having this like stutter and like I keep misspeaking. That's part of the BPL. That's part of having low dopamine is you can't even form sentences correctly. That's part of it. And I'm staring straight into the lens because I heard that just staring at the same thing gives you dopamine. Just staring straight or fixed onto something. So anyway, that's the ADHD update, is that it's going bad. I'm being very negative, but I'm at least that's how I feel in the bad part of the days. Like at the end of the night, it gets pretty dark. If I couldn't record this at the end of the night, it's not even close to the end of the night. It's only 10 o'clock right now. I'm going to be up until the sun comes up, and after that, like probably 8 a.m. is probably when I'm going to actually fall asleep. So I got a long night ahead of me, and this is the early part of the day for me, and I can't even talk. So let's hope. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. But in general, I have a positive outlook about just doing this podcast. Talking about what I just talked about was very, valuable to me. I just realized it's like, yeah, you don't have the willpower to do the things you don't want to do, and you're not your own fan. Those are both kind of the same thing. It's this lack of fuel. Because I do believe in myself for a short time of the day, but I still ain't doing the work. So I'm missing the fuel. And that goes back to BPL. Baseline dopamine levels. That's the key phrase of this episode, besides you got to be your own fan. And I've talked about this on other episodes. The word dopamine is probably the most used term on this podcast series. This never-ending podcast series, we talk a lot about that, the D word. So, I don't know. I got to stop being so hard on myself, man, because, I am making progress. I've made progress. There's these people that I used to be afraid to go up to. Not in particular, but just, there's been examples of people that I've met recently that, going back just a few months ago, I would have needed alcohol to have the courage to go up to them and speak to them without the fear of being rejected. And this is I'm not even talking about women. I don't talk to, I still don't do that. No. I'm still very sick. I'm still too mentally ill to talk to women because of the fear of rejection and fear of sharing my resources with them. And I say that without a smile, but I'm half joking. I don't have resources to share with them. I have a dwindling amount of money. I don't have an infinite cash. If I did, that would suck too, because then I'd be like, oh, you're just using me. You just want to be with me because of that. It's like another thing that your prefrontal cortex gets you is real relationships. If you are willing to do the work and be yourself and be proud of who you are and confident, you will be able to land the actual woman of your dreams, as they say. Even if you're a short dude like me, that's it. Short, mediocre looking dude, you could still land a hottie with confidence. That's the one thing I was going to say. Without confidence, like even a dude without confidence can land that. No. You need one of the three things. You need money, power, or charisma, or character. Good character, not charisma. Charisma is a bad thing. Charisma is what narcissists use to get to feed their ego and to get a narcissistic supply, while appearing as if they have character. Charisma is just a fucking facade for character. It doesn't mean you have character inside the apartment complex. Like, there's a lot of apartment complexes that have a really nice facade. When you walk in, it's like, oh no, this was built in the 30s. And it's all like terrible quality, like whatever. In the 30s, it was not that bad. But it's not concrete like they do now. It doesn't have like concrete. You see what I'm saying? This is not a metaphor. I'm talking about literally, I moved into an apartment complex, a building. It wasn't a complex, it was a building that looked good on the outside. It had a beautiful, like modern looking facade. But then I found out that it was actually renovated recently in 2006. I was like, oh, that's pretty recent. I'll buy a condo here. But then I found out that it was just what I knew this before I bought the fucking. But anyway, it's not concrete. So I could hear the neighbors walking around, and it ruined the experience of it ruined my life. It was a huge factor in negativity. It affected my mood. But I still have a pretty bad mood. No, my mood has gone up tremendously. My mood, moving out of an apartment complex with loud neighbors above me, improved my mood tenfold. So I'm not, it did. It was an absolute increase in mood and positive quality of life. So it's not like I just have different problems. It's not like I was just being a curmudgeon and now I have other things to complain about. No, that was it. Now I'm happier. So anyway, it's also a metaphor for what I was talking about with charisma. You don't want to just put on a facade of charisma. I'd rather do the opposite. Have a bad personality on the outside, or at least how it looks on the surface level to new people meeting me for the first time. I'd rather have no charisma but good character than the opposite. Have be a narcissist who's good at faking it, but actually on the inside they're a fucking asshole, rotten to the core. That comes up a lot in show business and comedy. People will be like, ugh, why are you so unlikable, man? It's like, because I don't care about likability. Most people are not likable if you actually got to know them. Why do you think most relationships don't work out, bitch? It's because most people aren't as likable as they think they are. Some people are more likable than others because they're good at putting up a facade, but doesn't mean they're a likable person on the inside when you actually get to know them, bitch. That's why I call people bitches a lot, because I don't care how unlikable it is to call people bitches to their face, because I know that I'm not a bitch. Because I know that I don't actually call people I respect bitches I don't call fucking people the B word who I actually respect. I use it as a joke term to add flair to what I'm talking. I don't actually call people big fucking big, because I have good character, not charisma. So I don't care if I'm unlikable. I like being unlikable. I'm going to keep doing that. I lean into my unlikability because, hey, I got nothing to prove to you. I know that I'm a good person, and actually, I'm nice. I'm nice to the people around me. You fucking bitch. Yeah, dude, I couldn't even say that because it comes out so mean. Dude, it comes out so mean when I call people mean words. Like I did that at a set a few months ago. I had the crowd on my side. I was doing well until I decided to call them cocksuckers. They thought I was being real. They thought I actually thought they were cocksuckers, like in a bad way. But I was just using it I just thought it was funny to say that word to a group of people. Oh, excuse me for making a bad, I thought it was funny. I'm pretty sure it was funny, actually. It just came out so fucking real that they turned on me like, oh. Like, what up, you cocksuckers? But without the smile, like, what up, you cocksuckers? Like, I was right, they were wrong. It was funny. I wouldn't be doing comedy if I didn't know what comedy was. Like, sure, comedians bomb all the time. We have bad jokes, but I know when a joke is good or not. And calling the whole room cocksuckers is funny. So that audience just didn't get my style. That's the thing. Like, a lot of comics, they go, oh man, that crowd sucked. But another comic will kill with the same exact crowd. Who was he? So therefore, most people would say, no, you just sucked. It wasn't the crowd. But if you're a specific type of comedian, you're not going to be for everybody. So you could technically blame the crowd for not understanding it. Because all it takes is one or two people to start laughing, and then the rest will start laughing because it kind of catches fire. You need a kindling. You need some brave fucking first responders in the audience to catch wind that something funny's happening. And then once they start squealing, the rest of the audience will start burning or laughing. That's a great analogy. It takes it does take like balls to laugh at something that nobody else is laughing at. But that's just because some audiences don't want to be the first dude to laugh. To be the first one to laugh at any joke takes balls. It's just that some jokes are so good that you can't always tell like who was the first to laugh at it because it happened so fast. You'd have to like be like, it's like supersonic. But some jokes are like, slow burns, and it's like, okay, oh shit, that is funny, and then somebody starts laughing in one part of the room, and then it slowly spreads. That's my favorite type of comedy. But it's really like, as the performer, to only do that type of comedy, that's hard. To be like, oh shit, I only do the type of comedy that is like not gonna like it instantly get them to laugh. So they might think they bombed, and yeah, if you don't get laughs, I guess that's technically bombing, but sometimes it's just that the audience didn't get you, or there wasn't enough people in that audience to be the first responders. So yes, you could blame the audience. You could be like, you guys are pussies for not having the balls to light me up. You guys are pussies. Yeah, the next guy's going to kill because he has different jokes. He has jokes that are instant fire, but whatever, like, forget like some jokes just hit way quicker, and he's going to do that because he's a pussy. He's a pussy. He's afraid to bomb because he just does hack jokes that everybody just laughs at because, oh yeah, that was funny. But it's not that funny. The funniest shit is the shit that you gotta think. It's like, fuck, that is fun. Like, that's my favorite type of comedy. Is like the shit that first, like, it's like, whoa, okay, that, and then I don't fucking know. Not just that instantaneous gut puncher type stuff. I like that too, where you're just like, you're funny just by the way you say it. It's like, if you just say something a certain way, it's instantly funny. Yeah, that's fine. It's a lot to think about. I don't know, because I could be both ways. I don't know. I don't know. It's very encouraging for me to want to do stand-up again after hearing myself talk for an hour about it. I love the sound of my own voice. No, I don't. See, that's the problem. I don't love the sound of my own voice, or else I would be my biggest fan, and I'd be able to go on stage and tell the dumb jokes that I thought of and be like, "This is fucking gold. This is brilliant." That's how you have to feel about yourself in order to kill at comedy. You have to be like, "This is brilliant." Otherwise, if you don't think it's funny, why would you would just cave in and you wouldn't be able to sell it. Comedians are just salespeople for their own personas, for their own thoughts that they thought was fun. It's like, hey, I thought of this, and also I'm going to be the one that sells on. That's a lot of work. You got to think of it, the joke, and perform the joke. So that's a lot of people that you're being. You're being the salesman. You're being the creative part. Like, what do you call that? Like the writer, obviously, but like in a different business. I'm trying to think of a different metaphor. You're the salesperson, the marketing team, and the research and development. There you go. You're the scientist. That's a lot of people that you're being as a comedian. That's why it's tough. Just because you have a little bit of talent, you still need to do a lot of work to get all those employees to work together in a cohesive manner that produces a quality 15 minutes of material. And we're going to end. Another thing that came up is the business side of things, like the one thing that comedians can't necessarily do themselves. A lot of them, they might have the other things, the research, R&D, the salesman, the marketing side. Ooh, some of them just can't do that. And then the business, like deals with other businesses would be the metaphor, like customers, like I think it should be direct to consumer. Comedians these days, the best like business model would be to do what Louis C.K. has been doing for over 10 years, is to sell straight to the consumer, straight to your fan base, put it on your website. It takes a lot of technical know-how. That's the thing. Not everybody could just be like Louis C.K., but also not everybody could be a comedian in the first place. So maybe understand that it's going to take a lot of work. So, but the point, like if somebody just offers you like a few $1,000s for your material and they're going to put it on their platform, that's not enough money. A few thousand is not enough money. This came up last night. Somebody was talking about it. It wasn't me. I just silently agreed with them. But now I'm saying it on this podcast. Like, yeah, you could get way more work. Maybe not money, but fuck that. Who cares about the dollar amount? The point is, if you have a fan base, they will go to your website. If your fan base is only on one platform, you're not a good comedian. How about that? Take that as it may hurt, because I'm being honest. If you only have a fan base on one platform and they don't follow you to other platforms, you're not a good comedian. Because a good comedian will have fans that have the extra 5 seconds that it takes to be like, oh, okay, they have a website. I'll go to that to buy their product. So focus on being a good comedian. And then once you are a good comedian, which takes 20 to 30 years, but then you could talk to technical people about how to actually go about setting up the website or whatever the technology will be in that current time frame or whatever, in that modern era, that you happen to be a good comedian. I don't know. You got to find the right person that's actually not like going to just take a shitload of money from you. But also, even if you do get paid a shitload of money, that still isn't necessarily a good thing. The second you start getting paid, millions of dollars for your comedy, that's when it starts to decline in quality. So you have to understand that too, is that there will be a peak. There will be a crest in the wave. You're going to hit a peak of where you're at your stride. It might last for a few years, maybe a decade. If you're extremely lucky, it'll last for about 5 to 10 years. Nobody has really had it last for longer than that. Nobody. The Beatles was only like 8 years of like fame, of like in their stride. And that was the Beatles. So you're going to peak, you're going to decline in quality. So enjoy the struggle of where you're at. How about that? Don't do it for the fucking money. That's what everybody tells you that, hey, if you don't do it for the money. That's true though. If you're only doing it for the end result of like numbers and not for the creative end result, which is admiration and fans, you should be doing it for the fans, but also you got to be doing it for yourself. You got to be your own fan. You got to be like, I'm fucking proud of that fucking piece of art. I don't care that it only got 3,000 hits on YouTube or some shit. I'm a fan of it. And if you're a fan of it, probably other people will be too, or you're just delusional, in which case I'm going to make fun of you for being, people are just going to make fun of you. And that's fun too. So keep doing it. Either way, I'm never the guy that says quit. Even if you're delusional and you're only getting made fun of for how bad what you're making is, like keep doing it because you're giving other people something to make fun of. And if you aren't delusional, you'll just realize how much you suck and you'll probably quit. So, or you'll just get better. I mean, how many people that start off as delusional end up being great? I don't know if there's that many examples of people that started off like completely bananas. Like, I'm going to be successful. I'm a killer. And do they ever actually become killers? I don't know. I have not found examples of that. I found examples of people that are still delusional and not killers. And there are some delusional people that can kill, but then they stay about where they are. They always get into these these challenges. Usually narcissistic comedians don't get much better. They reach a certain point and then I no longer am their fans because I was going by the facade. I was only a fan of what I first saw of them, and then I started seeing that they didn't have the ability to reproduce it, whatever. So anyway, you have to be humble. You have to hate yourself like me to be great. To become great at something, you got to go through these really difficult, dark times, and you got to look at that as like, hey, this is part of the process. So this has been the Tim Weichselbaum Show, episode 64, 65. What am I talking about? This is episode 65 of the Tim Weichselbaum Show. Have a good rest of the weekend. Peace and love. Thanks for whatever. Peace and love. That's where I'm ending it. Peace and love.